and welcome back to the Good Wife podcast. My name is Rachel. I'm excited to be back with another edition of Double Date Night. Ching, 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 ching. And with us we have Judy and Junior Kwebiiha. Kwebiiha.
Kwebiiha.
Kwebiiha.
Yes.
Lying to yourself.
Lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what the name means. We're going to find out why they were named that. But that's a story for another day. Welcome to Double Date Night on The Good Wife. We are going to be just having a conversation, and you are free to be a fly on the wall. Just, yeah.
We need to redo this intro because I don't think you understand the problem with you young people. See, a lot of the people who are watching this don't know who Junior is.
Clearly no.
Bona fide celebrity.
Oh.
Do you know what his batting average is?
Tell
do you know
us.
what a batting average
I
is?
don't know what a batting. It sounds like cricket.
Well
Cricket?
done.
High
Hey,
five.
High five
five.
from there.
Yes, they gave me some background. Yes.
Oh, Gayaza.
Yeah.
Junior is one of the most celebrated cricket players Uganda has ever had.
Thank you,
In
sir.
fact, he was called out of retirement at some point because they said, please come and teach these young people what to do.
Wow.
Very like,
Wow.
Ah, I neither confirm nor deny.
Reading that
good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you for having us. Always good. Always good to spend time with a good wife. Spend time with you guys as well.
Yes, and
And,
you brought your beautiful wife.
Finally,
along.
yes.
Yeah.
Finally.
Because we're usually interacting with Junior. But you say you are married.
Yeah, but
Where is this wife you've been talking about?
we should tell the story actually about how Judy ended up here because she doesn't like this nonsense of being in the public.
Out there.
Yeah, just being there. She just wants to lie, eat her money slowly and
Yeah.
enjoy her life.
Enjoy her life.
So it's a great honor to have you that you've actually allowed to come and be in front of the cameras. So,
Yes,
but
we don't take it for granted.
yeah, from the little interaction we've had, we know that it's going to be worth every minute. So
Yeah. So welcome. So as is the tradition on our double date night, we ask some icebreaker questions just to get us a bit comfortable. And I know I didn't share this with you. I was telling Junior that I want these ones to come naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not planned for them. So, but the good thing is we are all going to answer.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So, number one, what is one way you and your partner are the same? Just one. We usually talk about differences, but
Yeah.
Which one do you think?
since you're our guests, we'll give you a chance to think.
Yeah.
I think my husband and I both really enjoy being at home.
Yes.
I think being home in a really nice, cozy environment is something we both cherish. I think yesterday is when I was telling you, we just don't understand nightlife.
Yeah, we don't get
So-
that. Like, and
When
it's because
people,
we're old.
no, we're not that old.
Yeah, but
But when we see people grabbing their bags and they are going out for a good time, we're like, guys, we will see you later.
you know, you're driving home from a function at 11 p.m. and you're seeing people arriving at night.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
What's wrong
What?
with you guys?
Yeah.
You don't like your home?
So yeah, when we go to travel to places,
Yeah.
these things are when you're going to hike and Simanya what?
No. Oh yeah,
No.
and then the hiking as
Yeah.
well. We don't do
Rather, where are the guys at the swimming pool with the cocktails?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Chilling and
Not climbing mountains.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which way do you think?
I'll let you go first.
Maybe traveling? I think traveling. She does like traveling more than I
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
I like the excitement around we are going to travel.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the actual.
But the actual traveling, then I don't enjoy as much.
Yeah.
But I enjoy that she enjoys it. So
Yeah.
I kind of.
So you kind of find yourself.
Yes, I
in
find
there.
myself. I don't know. What do you think?
With the traveling, I think, like you said, you like the idea. You just don't like the idea of getting ready to travel,
travel.
which is
No
what I
man
love.
does.
Yeah. The packing, the itinerary.
Yeah.
all of that.
Then you forget a pencil case. When everything is in the car, then say, please wait, I forgot my pencil case. Like, is there a passport? Is there a ticket? What is inside? My
pencil
black
case.
pens. Ah.
It is important for you to have the right pen.
Yes.
Yes, otherwise you get there and whatever it is that you have to write just doesn't look nice.
Oh, you have OCD.
She does. If it wasn't obvious, she does. She does. Okay. Yes. Okay, one last question. Now, the opposite. What is one way, and I asked for one, people, because I know differences, we can stay here the whole day. What is one way you and your partner are different? That one should be easy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think for us the easiest one is I love being around people. I feed off of being around people. Mrs. Mwine.
Now people are going to think I don't like being around
No, it's
them.
not that. It's just that she just likes to be in her space.
Yes.
I mean, she's graciously allowed to accommodate the fact that I just like to be around people, so she'll, tag along and all of that.
Yeah.
But I know it's not something she does because she loves doing it.
No, I really don't. I think
I get the feeling I'm not the only one.
No, I don't think you're the only one. No, I really enjoy my personal space, and going out to meet people and interact with people takes a lot from me. The energy, and I have to be a certain way, I have to look welcoming, I have to smile, and for me all of that is work. So if I can manage my energy, I'm happy to. But Mr. Mwine over there is a mayor. We're walking on the street and it's hello this one, hello that one. You don't remember this person? I introduced them to you 2 months ago. I don't remember who they are. So yeah, we're very, and I mean, we could go on and on. Maybe I'll just mention one. My husband loves to cuddle.
Yeah.
I don't understand for the life of me why anyone would cuddle
Big
when
sign.
they are going to sleep.
And you don't, and you want your space.
No, I want my space. I think let's allow that. The reason it's a big bed is so that you have your side and I have my side. But we are learning these things that they are
The boy
important.
child has suffered.
Suffered. We are under serious attack. Serious attack. Let's see. I think quite similar. I think Judy likes her space. Very, very quiet. She likes saying, "I like to be in the corner where no one notices or sees me."
High five, my sister.
But the other one I think is noise. Noise. Children. Children making noise.
Yeah.
That one, I cannot deal with an unplanned sound. Like if I hear something, everyone will stop and have to figure it out.
Yeah.
My wife tells me, block out the noise. I'm like, what? Is that even possible? Like the kids will be screaming, and she's like, but
Block it out.
block it out.
Yeah.
I
You
never
can't
went to school for that skill. I do not have
You
it.
failed that class.
No.
That's interesting because actually, for me, I think I'm probably the opposite. I love playing, the kids and running around, which actually pisses off sometimes.
He has
because
used a different example. I was going to use the one of, how you have a hanger in the car, like you had clothes
And it
on
keeps
it,
hitting
and
on
it's
it.
cleaning.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, that stuff drives Ben crazy.
Oh
I'm like, just
my.
block it out. We're on the road. There's so much
There's
distraction.
I will stop
Ding,
the
ding,
car.
ding, 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 ding.
You can't. There's once I was driving and the visor, I had put the visor down, and when I put it back, it kind of unhooked. And it kept hitting. And I was driving kids from the pool, so they were making noise. I turned the radio off. I was trying to figure it out. I stopped the car and I said, everyone,
Quiet.
stop and look for that sound. I started driving. Then I was like, Papa, it's your visor. The way I ate that humble pie. The way I ate that humble pie. I don't know. Yeah.
First of all, I love children. And I find that what they call noise is music to my ears. Just hearing them laughing and
Playing.
and yes, and squealing and running up and down, and, which drives him crazy. I completely love, and I love it. And God has been merciful and gracious that He's given us space.
Yes.
So I feel that within me, that space needs to be filled with some children.
Yeah.
So seeing as God has given me 3 biological,
Yes.
I must have my nieces, nephews, their friends, their cousins. They come over and I just set them free.
Let them have a good time.
And the way they ask is, can we come for a sleepover? We'll tell Uncle Junior won't make noise. And then that's part of the pitch for a sleepover. Yes. Irrespective of the age, we won't make noise.
Yeah.
Isn't it interesting though? One of the things that we're talking about just planning for this double date is people keep talking about how marriage is a scam. I don't know how many times you've heard that. I've gotten so tired of hearing people say that. I'm like, well, is it? I don't know. I don't think it is.
Yeah.
It's just coming down to be able to understand the differences that you have and not letting those drive you mad, and understanding that I'm different from Rachel, and that diversity in who we are can actually be something that we can use to bring us together and not cause us to just want to kill each other.
That's so true. And I think, obviously, when you start out, your differences, actually, when you meet, you kind of like that you're different. But then there are also things that are similar about your relationship. And then when you get married, those differences begin to rattle you. I think it's because you're in that, the honeymoon phase is finished, and now you're in that, what do they call it, discovery?
Drama,
yes, it's the drama stage where, oh my gosh, he eats like what? He snores, like all the things start to piss you off, you know? But then I was telling Doris on a show that I had here, I was saying, I feel like in the discovery phase, you get the differences, they amuse you. Like, no, hopefully. I don't understand. Okay, at that point, hopefully they amuse you. Our differences really, they make me laugh. They really do. And I like that about our relationship. We are not the same. The things you like, I don't necessarily like. And then, but we have a meeting point, you know? And I mean, it would be nice to know where your differences have kind of come into play in your own marriage. And maybe how you're using... At what point
you've actually appreciated that you have differences? Was there a time when they became a problem? And how did you deal with that?
Became.
It's never ending. It's never ending. Let's see, I think differences starting out, again, because she's very private and everything, and, you know, I had these friends, you're playing cricket, you're going out. There are times where when we were going out, we had to first go and drop her at home and then go.
Wow.
Yes. Because she said, for me, there are some things I'm not going to do. And I say, thank you very much, madam, but are you okay? First, if we go, we want to go. And she said, you go. So we'd go drop her. And I don't think it was a problem. I think it was something that we agreed was what it was. But as time went on, I began to realize, look, these are matters of principle. These are my principles. I'm not willing to compromise on them. And I think it also got me to appreciate those principles, but also then begin to say, what other principles do we need to have in our marriage to make sure that we are standing by certain things and we have those pillars. So I think for me, that resolve a lot earlier on in areas where we had differences for me was, she wouldn't compromise on going to church on Sunday. It was, if you're going to play cricket, come. Go to church for 45 minutes. I can never forget. It was a time, it was KPC Central, 8 to 8:45. And then I would walk out with my bag going down, get the taxi, and then go to Lugogo to play. And she would stay till 10, and then would probably come after lunch and would watch the game. But again, I would never ask her to compromise on some of those things. So there are things I know now that there are things we can discuss. There are things that we cannot discuss.
We call them fundamental non-negotiables.
So I think for me that has helped in certain, for us to know that they are principles. And we appreciate that they are principles that we live by.
And maybe just to add to that, I think because of our differences, our marriage is unique. And we appreciate that it's unique, but also because we have accepted those differences, people around us also accept that these people do their things different. I'll give an example. I think it was last week I was at my mom's house, and she had, like every mom prepared portions of food, this one take to your home. I was there with my sisters. So she tells me, kakati ni mere ojagye ndo fumbe. And said, nedda. Ojagye twaira Junior kufumbe. But it's because right from the beginning, I told him I've cooked enough. Because I come from a very big family. That's it. We're going to be happy, and you want good food. You know how to cook.
Are you serious?
And you are way better than I am.
Are you serious?
So, at any point when you feel like my tomato paste is not cutting it, falling. So, and of course my mom kind of tried to, I told her, mommy, nafumba na mala. So, but now even she knows that if she wants good pork, she's not going to call me.
She'll call Junior,
So, I guess just being okay with those differences and knowing that because I'm not strong at everything, it's okay. It makes it very interesting.
Yeah, it makes it interesting.
No, another interesting difference.
No, wait,
Back up.
You're the one in the kitchen.
Yes. I cook. So I grew up.
A man who cooks.
Yeah. My mom's side of the family were 12, and I grew up with one of my. She's my godmother, one of my closest aunties. My mom is a good cook. Her sisters are all good cooks, and each of them cooked something very well differently. It's like you never found everyone cooking the same thing. It was like you do this, you do this, and we all knew. You could test the signature of what they cook. So if we go out with my cousins, we can literally start tearing apart a dish in a restaurant. Oh, I didn't like this. Or the cream, and so we kind of do that. But for us, cooking is an experience. Yeah. So even my daughter, our firstborn, loves to cook. So cooking is music, headphones on. There is something you thought about it. It's a language. Yes, you're experimenting certain things. She used to get driven up the wall every time someone cooked something. And I went back and I redid something about it. She was like, seriously? Like, do you have to say it that loud that we don't cook well? But yeah, so for me, we had the discussion, we enjoyed it, we love it, and it works. I don't cook all the time, but there are times where I do it because it's something I want to say.
Yeah.
It's something I want to say, yes.
I've just got the perfect caption for this show. My husband does all the cooking.
Does he though? Does he do all the cooking? I was just about to say, ladies, don't try this at home.
Please don't.
Yeah, you might go and say, by the way, I heard on the show, Judy
you
told
did.
her husband that she's done cooking. So also me.
Even me, I have stopped. You agree before you get in. So once you agree before you get in, it's clear and it's like, oh, this is what it is. For us, it's good. Another one is my wife, when it comes to negotiating.
Like bargaining?
Bargaining.
Yeah.
I leave the room. I leave the room. So every time we've done deals, even with land, guys will come and say, Mkuru, there is some land here. I look and say, okay. But they know you have to, I say, the issue is to discuss the negotiating.
The other person.
You go to this. Me, I discuss serious things. I want to discuss how actually are going to impact global warming. These things of land, no. Those ones. So there's once, I don't know, in a shop or something, and she was negotiating something. I literally started negotiating for the other guy. But we can, you can actually afford to pay for. She gave me this look of, boss, which side are you on? From that day, the minute negotiations start, I leave the room.
Excuse yourself.
As long as we've agreed on what the ceiling is, I leave the room and she closes the deal. She comes and says, this is what it is. There's a time we were selling a property and I negotiated. Then I thought I had done a good job. And I told her, but you have to talk to my wife because you need to close with her. The title, everything is in her. I need to close with her.
Consent, what? Those things.
When they call her, she said, I don't even know who gave you that price, by the way. She came back and I think got an addition about 5% or something.
No way.
She said, I don't even know who gave you that price. For me, my price, I don't understand. If you haven't signed those documents, by the way.
This is my price.
I said, fear my wife.
By the way, let me tell you, I fear people who can negotiate.
Yeah.
I feel like it's such a superpower because first of all, me, I get frustrated very easily. So if you're telling me a thing is 50K and I have 50K, I'll give it to you because I want to move on to the next thing. But now, madam, aren't your money cutting? Can't you say one no? Price no, what the good price? I'm like, but now 50K. Where we're going to go back and forth, let me just give the man his money and go.
Yes.
But when I find someone who can negotiate 50K to 35,
with a straight face.
With a straight face.
No flinching.
It's amazing. It really is. But I think what I'm hearing from you guys is you had several conversations before you got married. Okay, you agreed on certain things before you got married. I feel like in our generation today, we take so much for granted.
Yeah.
We think, because we love each other, we will figure it out, And I think maybe we could speak to people who are planning to get married. What are some of those conversations? I mean, something as fundamental as cooking, you have that conversation. And then what happens if the thing fails?
Because it is fundamental.
Yeah, it is. Were there any compromises that you made when you were having those conversations? So were there deal breakers? Were there things where like, this one, we are not moving it, And then how to go about when do you know how to when to compromise and when to stick to your guns? that master negotiator.
I shall negotiate and I go first, right? With that look, it was the boss. So I think, and one of the things that we learned is we're still learning to this time.
Yeah.
I think when you're starting out, you think you can figure everything out at the beginning, which
How many
is a
years
hoax.
in now?
18 in about 2 weeks.
Nice.
Your marriage is an adult.
Yeah.
Yes,
Great
by the
adult.
way. Come on, we want to kuza. It's an adult.
I'm still learning.
And still learning. So there are things that we're still learning to this day. Things change, seasons, we change. You know, one of the things that I learned is when I met Judy, she was, you know, a young girl in her 20s, and this is what it is. You get married, you have a child. I have never related with her in her 20s with a child.
Yes.
Circumstances have changed. We had a second child, is okay, a young girl in her 20s with 2 children. All those are changes. It's something that you have to go back and recalibrate how you engage with that person.
Yeah.
We learned that later, you know, but you learn that it is a journey of continuously learning. So we did have certain conversations. I think we did have decent counsel around us. We had a couple of older people to look up to that helped us and spoke to us. I think that the things like, you know, she was very clear on faith.
Yes.
Is critical. She said, for me, this one,
We
things, you know, there are deal breakers, but this one, we are not going to do certain things. There are things I'm not going to compromise on. The way I carry myself, the way I behave. There's, you know, both prepare yourself. There are some things that are not going to change, you know.
She actually warned you about that.
Yeah, she's like, look, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. She said, for you, you can be in front and you can stand on a podium, you can talk. For me, I will be in the corner, I will pray. I will do this, I will do this, I will do this.
I need to ask, how much pressure did you feel that put on you? Because clearly from the way we know you now, you're clearly embracing your duties as a high priest, you know, you do this well.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't always like that, right?
No.
From what you're suggesting, she probably
Yeah.
was miles ahead of you at some point. What was that like?
So
for both of you, actually.
So her mom, her family, but I think her mom has been at the core of it for as long as I can remember. It must be for as long as we've been married. They have a prayer altar every 5 to 6 a.m. Monday through Friday.
Wow.
There is a time that prayer altar was being run across Uganda, Zambia, Qatar, the US.
Wow.
And the UK. UK was in and out. So 5 different time zones. There were times that altar had almost as many of them. Sometimes it went down to as little as 2 people.
Wow.
But I can say 95% of the time, there was someone on that altar. Wow. Now, when it started, I wasn't, you know, I love my father. But my father did not tell me this is a prayer altar, this is what it is. He took us to church. That was how he taught us. My mother told me my father was a reverend. There are some things you must do. There are some things you cannot do, you know. So I learned and I had the fear of God. But to be a priest, I did not know how to. And there are times where she tell me, you're not leading in a priestly, and I got frustrated. Because in my head, I was trying to tell her, do you know that I don't know?
Yes. But you're not saying.
But I'm not saying. So I'm getting frustrated that, Madam, you're putting pressure on me, and yet I don't know.
Yeah.
But first she would get up, and now when it started, she would get up, leave the room, go and pray. Then it became, get up, what are your prayer requests? I would write them, I give her. So even today I tell people, if you annoy me, I write your name on a piece of paper, I put on her side of the bed. Then you're finished. Then it became, she got up, started praying in the bed, but left me. Then it became, she got up, started telling me, your prayer, but Junior is here, he can give his testimony.
On the call.
On the call. Okay. And then it became, but you're awake. You're hearing me. Why don't you just connect? So that is a journey that I can say is, you know, that altar is still active today. I am not as active, she still is. I'm not as active because there's another prayer altar that we have, you know. But that is how I began to realize this is not going away. This is not going away. And this thing of faith is critical.
Serious.
It is serious.
Where does that come from for you? First of all, clearly I can hear your art of negotiation, you know, the way you
It's in the bed.
push the guy in the right direction.
And you're like, but you're awake.
Yeah, so but where does that come from? Is that emphatic clinging on to faith as a fundamental non-negotiable? Because clearly it's something that's been with you your entire life.
Yeah.
Where does that come
My
from?
mom.
Yeah.
My mom is Catholic.
Yeah.
My dad is Anglican. But at the end of it, she always just told us, just hold on to Jesus. So with her, it was very important what school we went to. So I went to Namagunga like she did. My sisters went to Namagunga, she did. My brothers went to Budo. So with her, faith is very, very, very important. So even today, she will be on the call. My dad will be on the call. The times when he's not awake, it will be very clear that she's poking him, you know, get up, my children out here, get up, you know. So with her, faith is everything.
Yeah.
And I also loved and still love the fact that even if she holds her Catholic faith very dear to her, she doesn't force anyone to join. She just says, as long as it's Jesus, he does not have, you know, but she makes sure that you're praying. And if that in any way is getting weak, she'll call you out. She'll say, okay, fine. You've not been on this 5 a.m. call for this number of times. Are you praying? So we grew up with that and took it into our marriages, and now we are trying to teach our children.
Teach your children.
One of the things that comes out of having a prayerful life is that you need to be able to have enough testimony that makes you, and I think we were having a chat with Junior about this a couple of days ago, that you're able to look back and say, look what the Lord has done. Are there any things that you think about? Because again, one of the things that comes out of these conversations for me always is being able to remind yourself. In Nehemiah 9, one of my favorite chapters in the Bible, it talks about how
they remembered.
They failed
how they
to
failed
remember.
and he kept forgiving.
Yes, they failed to remember what God had done. And for many people who are watching this show, this podcast, they might feel like they're in a position and a circumstance where things are so bad that you literally just don't see a way out. I like the way you're laughing because that's sort of where I'm going. For you to just sort of speak into some of the things that you have seen where you can say, you people, I have seen this God do things. If you don't mind sharing some of that stuff.
Life-changing.
I'll give 2 examples. And I think when you explain, you know, what it is that you explain, it takes me there. So the first one is when I was going to get married. So, like I said, I was in Namagunga for 6 years. There were no boys.
There were no boys.
No. I have 5 brothers. And
tall brothers.
Yeah.
I have 5 tall brothers.
They were not exactly, they were boys. Let's just put it that way. So I get to campus and I have not dated.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then my bed, I think it was first year, second year, was at a window. So I had these roommates and they would all go out. They were dating and everything and what. And then one day I sat on my bed and put my feet out of the window. And I said, God, if you're there, find me my husband.
That's it.
And that was it.
This is like first year.
And it happened.
Then I knocked.
You have to go now to. So how was the prayer answered? Because now we need to know.
So this is how it was answered.
Yeah.
Just like Junior said, there are certain things which for me were just non-negotiable. Okay. And there are areas where there was going to be a little bit of compromise. So when we started dating, one of the things I told him is I will not go to the disco. And as my friends were dating and everything, and we had started out, we were this whole group of girls that used to go to KPC. I started seeing them changing. So they would start going out with their boyfriends and everything. And I told him, I will not go to the disco.
Just slow fed.
And that was it. He said, okay. So they dropped me and go to the disco. I'm like, God, you had me.
You heard my prayer, yes.
And then I also wanted to date, get to know this person. And indeed, by God's grace and His mercy, that's exactly what happened.
What happened?
So we dated for 7 years?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
We dated for 6 years. And that's something that most people don't do these days.
No.
You meet this guy 6 months into it, you feel he's the one, and which, by the way, I have nothing against. But if you dated for longer, you would get to see certain things about this person.
Yeah.
Then you're able to, make up your list and decide, and from a better standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's been 18 years almost. That in itself is a testimony.
Yeah.
It has not been, all rosy. Well, sometimes I think rosy because there were thorns. But
yes, it was rosy.
So it
was
was
rosy.
There were some thorns.
But through all of them, God has taken us through. So that is one of them. Then the other is there's a time in our marriage when we're going through drama.
Oh, Junior is capable of drama.
Proper drama.
Drumming.
That's the way he talks now. You can think there's never been drama.
Oh my gosh, it was drama. Drama upon drama. And I remember clearly one day I was in a room and I got onto my knees and I said, God, you're the only one who can take us out with this.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah.
And in a short while, we were back in Doha.
Yeah.
That's when we joined Doha. And so sometimes it's not really that there was a writing on the wall or there was anything in the sky. No. It's that God just orchestrated things and made things happen.
Yeah.
And you know in your heart that
Yes, it was God.
that it was God.
When you look back at, and again, one of my favorite words to use is hindsight. And again, something Judy and I have actually spoken about a number of times in terms of the story of Job and how we have the benefit of hindsight. Because we're able to tell what Job was going through. When Job was going through the things he was going through, he did not have the benefit of hindsight.
No.
He had no idea what conversations were happening concerning him in heaven.
Yes.
Same thing with Joseph, same thing with David, same thing with Moses in the wilderness and all of these things. We look at it with hindsight, we're like, God was working.
Yes.
Right? So, but when you're going through that situation, you're not able to assess and know this is part of God's plan.
Yes.
I know the plans I have for you. On the timeline. Because some of those plans sometimes include, killing a man for his wife, and God has already priced that into.
Priced it.
He has priced it into your life.
Yeah.
But then it goes back for me again to the thing where sometimes you hear people say, I'm not sure I married the right person, and I'm thinking, I don't understand that. If you at some point got married and you did that before God, He knows that and He's seen that, which again I think for me then comes back to you because your lifestyle and your background would have been such that it would be difficult for you to actually be interested in a pure holy girl. So
I was not pure. I was not pure and holy. I was just Judy. Yes, that's different.
But the way you conducted yourself was that for him, you would have been one of those girls who feel themselves, right? So how?
So I think it's. I wasn't that bad. Let me first ground that and qualify it. I wasn't that bad. But I think there were different things. I think, so one of my closest friends, he lives in the US now, he's been for maybe about 20 years. His parents are pastors. And his mom used to say, my boys will drink this tea. And she had a standing instruction that every night there had to be a flask of tea in their sitting room.
Woman after man.
And it did not matter what time we came back and from where we were coming. We knew we had to go to Arnold's home and drink the tea. Because if his mother found out that there was tea that wasn't drunk the next morning, there was going to be a problem. It did not matter if we got in at 5. We had to go to the Arnold's home and drink tea. And what were we doing when drinking tea? We were watching TD Jakes.
Really?
We were watching Creflo Dollar. and John Hagee. Those were, and then Joseph Prince. Those are the guys that we. So it did not matter where we came from. I like, hey, throw your hands in the air as if you don't care. But at 4, you're taking tea and you're watching.
4 in the morning.
4 in the morning. Yes. Yeah. And that's why for me, I believe in prayer. My dad once told me, a long time ago, before I got married, he said, one day when I have enough money, I want to throw a party for you and your friends. I said, why? He said, because you are not thieves. You are not what? Okay, you guys enjoy but you're 20-year-olds. You're supposed to be doing that. They're not calling me, telling me that you have killed someone. You're not impregnating people's daughters. I want to throw a party for you to celebrate you that you have given me some peace of mind. I still owe him that party. Maybe he's still waiting.
Okay.
But for me, it was also an expectation. What I see now is we're honoring them. But I think all of that there are things that I keep saying. There are prayers that were answered that I never said. So the answer to that question, I cannot say it was something specific. Why would I go out and my friends are telling me, but boss, if you leave that girl, I think there's going to be a problem with you.
Oh, wow.
So I had counsel that would tell me, boss, you know what? I had counsel that would sacrifice what had to be done to make sure that I go and see her. Boss, have you gone to campus? Have you done this? What is happening? They were friends of mine, 2 friends of mine, who knew that Junior is praying on Sunday. Judy comes and she watches, she sits in a particular place. They would come and sit with her, as if we have to make sure we are defending our things.
Wow.
You know, I actually need to call him after this and say thank you. When I was on the pitch and I looked up, there's a particular spot where she sat. And I was sure
your friends were
that they were there. 80 and 90% of the time. They were there. Yes. Well, my friend, this investment, we are invested in this thing. You know? So, and I think for me, a lot of that fabric today, good counsel, the people that you have around you, a band of brothers, a lot of that has degenerated. So people are making decisions in isolation. You know, so for me, there are certain things that I look back, I cannot explain them, but I know it is her mother's prayers, my mother's prayers, her prayers or something. So I also know, based on that, to your earlier question, that I need to start sending those prayers for my children now.
Kids. Yes.
A friend of mine, a pastor, says prayers are ageless.
That's true.
They are ageless.
And I think for me, it reminds me of the scripture that says that the steps of a righteous man are ordered of God.
Yes.
Like, you don't understand how things happen,
But
because somewhere there's a woman, there's an altar, there's prayer happening. Your steps are ordered, even when you seemingly don't deserve it. Like your paths are very different. You are coming from this background. This one is coming from this background. And then somehow a meeting happens or is orchestrated. How do you explain that except that, God has allowed this to happen for a divine purpose? And I think for me that the aspect of prayer cannot be understated. And I mean, we all have kids here. So it's in saying prayer has brought me to where I am now. Therefore, I must invest prayer for my children and my children's children. You know? And
even listening, I look back and how my dad and mom spoke about, whether they knew it or they didn't know it, how they respected her even when we were still on campus, how her parents, how her siblings, a lot of that also and there are things that she would do that for me were they were very telling. They were very telling. So I think about 1 year after we started dating or something like that, I went to the UK for a while and I was going cheyo. And being the man that I am, I was sending her the money. But every time I sent her money on the weekend, she would save some money, but she always shopped for my parents' home and shopped for her parents' home. And so for me,
the good wives, learn from this example.
So for me, it was, okay, this person really does understand honor, understands respect, and it was not a one-off. No, it was very consistent. It was very consistent, very consistent. To this time, every time we're doing something, there are things we have to do for our parents. And she's responsible for the Department of Honor. So she,
I don't pressure on you, because if you ever did anything, even your own...
My friend. I would lose that. Every time I think of an argument, I look at my side I have got no allies.
No allies.
You're on your own.
I'm on my own.
No allies. It actually, I think it reminds me of, sorry, I think like we're going round and round in circles, but it reminds me of, you know how sometimes we feel like, oh, but my spouse is not standing up for me, like with his family. And I think we forget that we can forge a relationship with our spouse's people to a point where they become allies, you know? And it's in things like what Judy was doing, you know, just buying like some little items or a package and sending it to them and forging those parts for yourself, as opposed to sitting back and waiting and saying, but my man didn't defend me, you know, his family was coming at me and, you know, he didn't say anything. It's because you haven't forged allies there. There might be people there who can actually stand up for you, but you're waiting for him to be the one. Of course, he has work to do. We're not excusing him. But I think that there's effort that can be made from the wife's perspective, even from the husband's perspective, to form allies with...
And it's a whole dynamic that you can't run away from, because it's something that you need to pay attention to. It's a reality that you have to deal with. In some cases, you might have in-laws that are actually very difficult. You have to find a way of being able to navigate those. There are some who you might need to ignore completely because they are just not going to be add any value whatsoever. So but it becomes something that I think it's important. The other thing for me that I would like to sort of pick your thoughts on again, and I just can't get this thing out of my head of how I keep hearing young people saying marriage is a scam, and I'm thinking to myself that no, we've done 11 years. There's been drama, there's been issues and all of that. But no, I would do this over and over again every single time. What do you say to the young girl, or maybe not so young girl, because usually it's the slightly older ones who have been burnt and scarred so much that
they're calling it a scam.
Like, I'm done with
this.
On how do I ask the question? What makes marriage not a scam? If they put Judy on the spot and say, marriage is a scam, opposers and proposers, what would you say is your biggest argument for saying marriage is not a scam?
First of all, God created marriage, so it cannot be a scam. Secondly, I think when we look at marriage, many times we look at it as what is it that I'm getting out of it. And we forget that this is something that has two people involved. So if we keep looking at it as what am I getting out of it? Are they taking care of me? Am I going, you know, as far as I want to go on this corporate ladder? Am I, you know? Then the measure that we're using is a selfish one. Because if my expectation is that my husband is going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things for me and he doesn't do them, then I'll think it's a scam.
For sure.
But if by God's grace, and this comes with submitting to God, he gets us to that point where we die to self. And we cannot die to self once and for all, okay? Every morning, we die to self. So if we get to that place where we're actually continuously dying to self, then we know that this is something we're going to work at. This is something that is not going to be picture perfect, but it's going to be God perfect. For as long as it is God perfect, it cannot be a scam.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it's before Junior gives his response, he's for or against. I think that we want the goodness of marriage, but we don't want to do the work that requires the goodness of marriage. In the show we're recording before, we're saying how we've had it being said that marriage is not for your happiness. And the shock to your system when you hear that, because we get married because we want to be happy. We want a continuation of our dating life. We're going out, he makes me feel good, he's saying all these nice things, and so that's going to be the continuation. The only difference is we're even going to be living together. Oh my gosh, we're sharing a bed, we're sharing a house, we're going to bear children. And then you get in there and it's like, no, in order for you to experience that happiness, that utopia, There's some work that needs to get done. The
Yeah.
dying to self, the dealing with your pride, the selfishness. You have no idea how selfish you are until you get married.
Yeah.
How much you want for yourself. Even when you feel like, I am a victim.
Yeah.
You are being selfish,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's in appreciating the work that goes into marriage, the measure with which you measure marriage is what creates the scam. Because you're expecting and then you're not getting,
Yeah.
of course you're going to call it a scam.
Yes.
Because that's what you want and you're not getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for me then it becomes a thing of the people who think marriage is a scam think that way because they are being extremely selfish. And that if you approach it that way,
Yeah.
you will never be happy no matter what. No matter what guy you find, no matter what he does for you and treats you whichever way, it will never be good enough, right?
A scam is a scam from the beginning.
This is true.
A scam does not become a scam after. A scam
Yeah.
is founded on untruth, it's founded on lies.
Yeah.
So,
How well you know the person or not,
yes.
have you
If you
found
talk
middle
about,
ground?
if you're saying a scam, then everything at the beginning was
Was a
flawed.
scam,
Was
yeah.
a scam. You know, so you cannot say
You need to repeat that.
you cannot say I was telling the truth.
Hey,
It's a
it's a
scam.
scam.
No. It was a scam from the
From the
There are
beginning.
things you miss,
There are things that you missed.
both in the way you thought about
Yes.
this thing and what your expectations
Yes.
were and what you thought about the other person.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. that's
Marriage has got truth to it. It has got truth to it. In the absence of that truth,
deep. Yeah.
it's a scam.
That's true.
You know, and that truth is submission. That truth is sacrifice. That truth is selflessness. That truth is love. That truth is everything else
Growth.
that can never be a
Learning.
scam.
Yes.
Is growth.
Yeah,
That
and
can never be
personal
a scam.
development
Exactly.
and the journey that takes you to the point where
Yes.
I am becoming a better person every day that I live, and as long as
Exactly.
I'm doing that,
Exactly.
you'll find a way to be able to make it work.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why most marriages will fail, because everyone is so hell bent on getting their way, they're not willing to
Yes.
cede any ground whatsoever. And again, there will be circumstances where things completely go haywire,
Yep.
which confirms the scamness because it was there from the beginning and you
Exactly.
probably
You
didn't
didn't
see
pay
it.
attention to it.
But ideally, as long as there's that incremental growth at any point, you
Yeah.
should be able to get to the point where you're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think if part of marriage counseling at the beginning or preparation is, and again, ever since I learned this a few months ago, not a long time ago, but ever since I learned this, I've become very deliberate on quoting it and saying it to myself. I think I might say, if a verse could be worn down, it probably would be, thank God it cannot be. Luke 2:52.
Yeah.
And Jesus grew in wisdom, in stature, in favor before God and before man. Those are the 4 areas
Yeah.
we all must grow.
Wisdom.
Wisdom,
Yeah.
stature,
Stature.
in favor before God and favor before man.
Yeah.
4 areas
Yeah.
you must grow.
Yeah.
Because Jesus grew in those 4 areas.
those.
Yes.
Growth being the key
Thank
word,
you.
Yeah.
right?
So the minute you get married, the conversation in your preparation should be you're starting a journey of growth.
Yeah.
So that gap, that 252 gap, that 18-year gap is the day you get married. Then your Luke 252 starts.
Yeah. What are you learning?
What are you learning in wisdom? Are you wiser today than you were yesterday?
Yes.
Are you growing in stature?
Yeah.
Are you growing in favor before God? You cannot go in favor before God if you don't know His word. You're not praying, you cannot. Are you going in favor before man? Are you building relationships? If you are not deliberately saying, am I growing? Of course you're going to have a problem. There are things that Judy does today, 18 years later, that she still does. Do they still annoy me? Yes, they still do. But does she do them as much? Maybe she does
Maybe
not.
not, yeah.
Have I grown in understanding that, okay, that thing, you know, I mean, my dad is one of the best timekeepers I know. He's the kind of person who, if he's going to be late, he will send you a message half an hour earlier that he might be late.
Might. Doesn't mean he will.
He might
Just
be
he
late.
might be.
He will tell you, I am leaving home. I am now making my way to you. So you can prepare to receive him
Yeah.
when he's coming to you. That's the kind, when it comes to communication and time. Now, those traits kind of rubbed off, you know, so we kind of, yeah. Now, my wife, time is a suggestion. Yeah? She's done, but you're much better. You have grown. You have grown in wisdom, in stature, in favor before God and time. Exactly. So, she has, and the thing is, she has grown in it, you know, but I've also grown in how I handle it.
Yeah.
when we were starting out, I used to get agitated that she was.
Did you ever throw a tantrum? Did you ever threaten to leave her?
I think she sensed it, and she told me a story. And she told me a story, and she said, but if you cannot wait for me, who can you wait for in the world? Yeah, and there's a story that had been told to her by her mother. So this is a second generation story. In no certain terms, she was telling me, you dare. You dare.
Tell us that story.
So now, I think it was your mom. So I said I need to find a way.
A balance.
A balance. So if I'll start saying, guys, we need to go. Guys, we live in 45 minutes. We need to do it. Once I realize that battle has been lost, I start making my way to the car. But if I find you on the way and you're not my wife, you will get the full.
She can't.
I cannot.
The one on the road.
I'll get into the car. But why is this table brown? How can it be? I will find a way, because I know when I enter the car, I also cannot take it out on her. So I'll enter, and she will sit. Yes, and she'll say, I'm sorry. And then you're like, what?
I can't be annoyed.
So even when she does a good job and we have like 15 minutes and she will suddenly say, I forgot something. And you're like, Lord, please help us. But we've learned she's getting better. We're now not late by an hour, maybe like 20 minutes. Once in a while.
Growth.
There's growth. I've also learned to be a bit more patient, but I also learned that there are certain things that I can do to help get certain things out of the way. But I also realize sometimes it's a person's process. For her, it's her process to go. Even if you do something, it's her process to go through certain things, like a checklist she has to do.
So, but also for me, I think it's now an opportunity for people then to try and learn their people. And instead of seeing that as an opportunity for conflict, you figure out a way to make it work. And the way you do that now is, because now I learned, my wife takes her time to get ready. So if we're going somewhere, I'm going to get ready, go sit in the car, and I'm going to get frustrated. So now what I learned to do is, one, if we need to leave at 1, I'm going to try and make sure she understands we need to leave at midday, because even then, we're going to leave at 12:30. The second thing that I have learned now that is a hack for me is I will make sure I get ready last. Because that way, because for a typical man, it will take you anywhere between 5 and 8 minutes to get ready. And that includes the shower and whatever, you're good to go. So that way, when I'm saying, we go. When I'm telling her, we go now, and she's beginning to get ready to get into the car, is when I'm going to go shower. Because then I know when I come out, there won't be more than 4 or 5 minutes before we actually have to leave. And it's made life so much easier. I don't have to get frustrated or irritated. And so if you find a way to be able to work around some of that stuff, then you save yourself the burden of just causing conflict that just kills the peace and harmony in the home.
But do you see what's happening? That you're both growing?
Of course.
Yeah, the one who is frustrated with the waiting, and also the one who is, because if I see that you are making effort to accommodate my process, then next time I'm going to be like, I think I can do this better. I'm going to plan, I'm going to prioritize. I might still have a process, but with time, see, 18 years, they are late by 20 minutes. And that's progress, and I think also recognizing that progress and not constantly being on that. But you're always late, but I have improved.
That thing of
we used to be 30 minutes late, now we are 20 minutes late, surely. Celebrate the 10 minutes, And I think that gives more room for growth. I know that Junior, you talked about going to the UK. You guys, you did a lot of transitioning, like a lot of moving. Is there, did that have any impact on your marriage? Like how have you navigated movement?
So I moved, we moved to Zambia in 2016. 2016, they came in 2017. I came back, then I moved to Moz in 2023, but they didn't come. So there were different transitions. I think the first time I went to Zambia, it was like we had come out of a very difficult financial season. It was a tough one. You know that fire that they did that was 7 times hotter? When I find men saying, I'm going through a difficult time, I look at them and say, my friend, it was tough. Now, for us, transitions helped us in different things. I think through the 18 years we've been together, we've seen her earn significantly more than I did. In that season, I think she was still working in the bank, and she was getting bonuses and everything. I would struggle to raise enough money after paying fuel and everything to get 20K to pay Yaka bill.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to be the man in the house and come and have a conversation. She started working before I did. I was still playing cricket, she was still working. Then we had a season, I went to the UN. When I went to the UN, I think it became like this. I think it became like this. But,
afford the Yaka.
yes, I could afford to almost buy for the company itself. So that was a good season. Then she left the bank and she was at home. And then she struggled with the transition of I've been in a bank for 14 years and the KPIs are defined by revenue, X, Y, and Z, how much money. And now I'm in this farm. Now I'm not contributing. Is there? So there was that. Then we came back. So we had about 4 seasons where we've had, she makes more money than I do. And then, so that has helped us figure out certain things. She's the CFO. Me, I do big picture things.
Big picture thing.
So what we do is we have a target for savings, we have a target for investments, we have a bill. And she can do anything she wants. If she wants to go to China, it's okay. If she wants to fly to the moon, it's also okay. As long as at the end of the year, when we sit to have this KPI conversation on these things, you have achieved them. Yes. So that's fine. I'm grateful to God.
You don't involve yourself in any of that stuff. You just wait for updates to get reports on.
My bank calls my wife more than they call me.
Wow.
The only time they call me is when the loan payment is late. But otherwise, there was a check, what. They call her more than they do me. Now, she managed, so we have very clear, and I'm grateful to God that she's not wasteful, she's frugal, she's responsible. So I try, she's better at handling money than I am. So she deals with the money, and that's fine. So that helped us. So for us, issues of finances have not been a big issue. But I also saw my dad. I saw my dad trust my mom with all his money. My dad would say, I am not closing this land deal, sir, if my wife is not here. This time he went and some guy opened his boot and was going to pay about 90 million. He said, boss, I cannot touch your money unless Mrs. Kwebiiha is here. And on top of that, you drive me to the entrance of the bank. When I can see the teller with my eyes, I'll sign your document. He signed the documents when he was inside the bank and he was signing from outside. But he had to get to the bank with his wife there. So I had that example also. But the transition, so when I went, it was like, let me go and make money. We're coming out of this dry patch, make money and everything. And one of my brothers in the US called me one random Sunday and told me there's no amount of money that is worth time with your children and your family. He said, look, do not pay that price. He said, you don't know the price you're paying now, but you're paying a massive price. Another friend of mine, Judy knows her, she's called Michelle. I keep saying, Lord, help me to honor this person. I sent her, I was chatting with her and I sent her a message, then she didn't respond. And I said, did you hear what I said? She said, no, I want to finish what I'm doing so that I can respond to you properly. And she gave it to me.
Wow.
And she said, what? How much money? What is it worth it? And she basically also put me in my place and said, look, family is important. So for me in transition, I have learned that family must be consistent. I saw the absence of that when I went to Mozambique. She wasn't there. My family wasn't there. It was one of the most difficult professional seasons I've had, 14 months. I came back almost every 6 weeks, 2 months, but it's not the same. It was extremely difficult. And those people that I work with that are close to me kept saying, this was nothing else apart from the fact that there was something missing that was intangible. It wasn't that you're not a hard worker. It wasn't that you're incompetent. It was just that there was something about, family being there. So for us in transition, we've learned that family is critical.
People miss that a lot because they get a good offer, they jump at it because it's an opportunity to work in another country, an expatriate or whatever, money is good. And then you find that you're actually losing a lot more that you will never get back no matter how much money you have. Listening to the stories you're sharing, from both of you in terms of the impact that your parents have had on you, the only thing that was running through my mind is, how are we setting an example for our children because they are observing.
Yeah.
They are picking our habits, they are checking what we are doing, they are, as monkey see, monkey do. And you look at the dysfunction there is in a marriage, is the conflict. You think that the kids are not seeing that you guys are not in harmony, and how badly that's going to affect them growing up, how they're going to transition and now transfer that to someone else's child. I think we need to be very, very careful about what sort of example we are setting for our children, for them to see what our marriages and family dynamic looks like.
So there are some things I'm very particular. I'm very particular about. I keep telling my kids that they are you can offend your mother, but if you offend my wife, those are two different problems.
You and your mother is one thing.
They are two different things. You and your mother are one
wife?
thing. My wife is a different. That's a different person. So there are times where she can be there. Guys, can you come? So I'll be resting. Then there is a certain level of irritation she gets, and there's a certain tone. I just shout from the room, guys, they know her.
It's
We are not the man's wife.
Yes. And I'm deliberate in telling them that, you know, because I say, look, your mother is your mother. But my wife is my... Just because the same person holds the same office
doesn't mean...
does not mean that they are the same person. So if you annoy your mother, but should that frustration come to my wife? I will deal with you first as a father for the other one, and now as a husband who is upset.
You know, I think we've done that. So now there are times when, you know, like Michael, for example, will say, Daddy, your wife. And then he's not to now draw the distinction between
the wife
his
and
mother and my wife.
And I also, there are times I'll order for something and I will deliberately order only for her. I will say, you know where you? I'm going to see just you like banana? I'm going to bring banana cake. And I will bring 2 slices.
Oh, okay.
And I tell them, these slices are for your mother.
Yes.
And they go, hey boy, what did you say? I brought for you nothing. Well, I said, not because I could not afford it, but I need you to understand that there's a place I am going to put your mother, who is my wife, that I will not put you.
No, your level.
Yes, so I am very deliberate about it. But of course, she always, every time now I don't tell her when I'm going to do that. When I tell her, she says, but I can't eat alone. Which side are you?
I'm here on the path. Anyway,
sorry, maybe I just wanted to
please go ahead.
The way our marriage has worked out is the way God has allowed it to. And I think I just want everyone to remember that is our story. You might find a couple where they can't help it but be apart so that they can be able to fend for their family. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you find yourself in that situation, I think it is important to be intentional about putting different systems or different people that can help to fill in the gap while the other is away. Because I wouldn't want now people to start thinking, oh, because my husband, you have to come back, my wife, you have to come. No. Just like Junior said, when he was in Mozambique, we couldn't go. And the reason why we couldn't go is the schools. There was just no school.
Because they speak Portuguese or something.
Yes, they speak Portuguese. So some of the subjects were actually done in Portuguese, which means they were just going to flat out fail. Then, of course, the style of living was pretty expensive and all that. So we could not go. Now, there might be a woman or a man who finds themselves in that situation. Question here is, what do you do? So he talked about coming every 6 weeks. If you can't come every 6 weeks, what do you do? The thing is, you just have to keep finding ways in which you keep covering that gap.
Don't give up.
You don't give up. You have to make it work. Because the difference between the children that I was raising during that time and the children that we have now, it's like night and day. When he's around, they're very different. When he was away, it was also and we have our second born is, I mean, she dreams her dad. Everything's oh papa, oh papa, oh papa. So for that time when Papa was away, it was very hard for her. And she's a lot like me, so we were clashing. Then our firstborn was also going through her teen years, so it was also hard for her. Then, of course, our son is mommy's baby. So when he was enjoying everything, and getting away with everything. Okay. So, but right now, he's around, and I just hear him, Ateni, and you see him getting Then Apoli, who is Papa's baby, oh Papa, she's an extra hard. So she's thriving. Our firstborn, she has her own thing going on there in the teen years, but it's still different. So let's just not give up. We keep building and building, find a way. God, I always remember that when God blesses us, He does not give us something that will bring sorrow.
That's true.
All right? So if it is a blessing and God has blessed you and you feel any kind of sorrow within you or any kind of heaviness, go back to Him.
Lack of peace. You need to have. There must be peace.
Yes,
there must
and tell
be
Him,
peace.
God, this one here,
It's not working.
and He'll definitely show.
That's so true. So true. I think that you could very easily watch this show and think, oh, let me also tell my husband to come back home. Oh, let me tell my wife to come back home. I think our marriages are unique. I know we compare ourselves as individuals, but even marriages are compared. But like, oh, that couple, they do this. I mean, you can pick leads, you can pick good things and say, oh, maybe we should do this the way that Kwebiihas do it. I think it would add value to our marriage, but even then it has to make sense in your context. So don't just get the information you see on The Good Wife and say, husband, in fact, you need to watch this podcast. Then the man will start hating The Good Wife for no reason. I think we're just here trying to tell
God has an individual plan for everyone. You need to, as long as we're told in Romans 8 to those who are led by the Spirit. He has the individualized plans for every person. You need to go and find out what His plan for you is, and it will be different for everyone.
For sure.
True.
We need to bring this to a close.
Already?
Yes. I feel like we've spoken for such a short time.
Everyone must come back. The things I was spoken about, there are so many things.
I think in closing, for the both of you, what do you know now that you could have done differently at the start of your marriage? One thing, half a thing?
I think for me, it is the quality caliber of friends you have around you. We prayed about it, and for the last, I would say about 10, 11 years, God has given us 3 other couples, so we are 4 couples, and we've been working together. That for me is, like you said, every marriage is different, it's unique, but you have the opportunity to open yourself up to certain people that can give you their uniqueness, and you can pick from them as well and see. So that for me, I would say, is if I could go back, I would have said those prayers earlier. I don't regret that anything happened when it did, but if anyone who is starting that journey, I would say be very intentional about the people you surround you and are speaking into your ear.
And prayerfully consider them.
Exactly.
I think about that question.
Romans 8:28.
All things.
All things. And it's okay to answer like that.
I don't know. There are things that I thought I would have done differently. But honestly speaking, if we did them differently, we would not be here.
Where you are now.
We would not be here. And whether it was a challenge we had to face or a moment that we're celebrating, or at some point in our marriage, I thought that maybe we should have saved more of that money. Oh, it was good money. But when I think about what we spent it on,
it was worth it.
Experiences and all those things.
Oh my goodness. I mean, we did things that right now we think about and we're like, what were we thinking? We would not be here, and we would not have that story now added to, the different things that we're doing. So I'll be very honest, nothing.
And that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Judy, for coming out of your shell.
I
know this was sacrifice for you.
We appreciate you.
I kept looking at you. I'm like, is she okay? I hope she's okay. I hope she's fine. But I feel like this has been very, very helpful. And I'm sure there are couples that you are helping. I watched a podcast recently, and the guy who was speaking was sadly divorced, but he had such a powerful story in the way he has healed. And they were asking him if he would reconsider remarrying, and he said absolutely. He's still for marriage. He still believes in the institution of marriage, and he said we must keep fighting because society is made up of families, and families come from healthy marriages. So if your marriage is healthy, you have a healthy family. Therefore, you have a healthy society. And therefore, you have a healthy nation. And so sometimes I wonder, why do we do this show? Like, why do we be here talking about marriage? People were thinking it's overrated.
About this scam.
Yes, saying it's a scam. But I think there's a reason to fight. There's a reason to keep going because you have healthy marriages, you have a healthy community, you have a healthy nation, and then generations, carry on that practice. So I'm really thankful that you've allowed us to enter your story.
Thank you.
And learn from your experiences. Sometimes when you look at people who seem to be doing well, you're like, oh, Junior is not capable of drama. You see,
I know the shortcuts. I know the shortcuts.
You know the shortcuts. So as we close, please remember Travails of a Mother. Second edition is happening on the 8th of February, 2025. It's a wonderful way to start the year, digging those spiritual wells. And we're doing this for our children. We were talking about faith and prayer earlier and the kind of prayers that both your parents made. I think it's important for you to do the same for your children and for the generations to come. So please plan to attend. It's a whole day event at Hotel Africana, 150K if you pay after the 15th of December. If you pay before, it's 135,000 shillings. So take advantage of that. If you are not able to attend in person, there's an online option. You'll pay a small fee for that, 70K if you're here in Uganda, $25 if you're out of Africa. But most of the payment details are on your screen, so please take advantage of those. Amazing speakers. So Dr. Eunice Adubango is behind Travails of a Mother. She's going to be leading the sessions. Pastor Sarah Segan is going to be preaching as well. And Nancy Awino, who was there at the beginning for the first edition. So please, 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 please plan to attend. We'll be back again next week. Bye.